Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our June 16th council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Dr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Gottstein?
Here.
Mr. Ball?
Need approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of June 2nd, 2014. Any additions or corrections?
I make a motion we approve the minutes of the meeting of June 2nd, 2014.
Support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball? Yes. Mr. Oja?
Yes. Approval manifest 2014-12 in the amount of $309,426. George, any questions?
I only got a couple, Jeremy, on page 7 and 10. Transformer disposal, Joe. Is that for that big one that we had, or is that for a bunch of small ones that we have in the yard?
That is for the old one that was next to Danielson's greenhouse. And then we had 3 other small ones, 25 little ones that were contaminated that we sent along with the ride back.
Okay. And there's only one on there.
Hasn't that come up on the agenda before, on the manifest
Yeah,
before?
it's been previously approved by the city council.
Right.
That
But
was in
Wasn't it on the manifest?
December, no, no, it wasn't, no. December of 2013, it just took a while to get it done.
And also on page 10, right in the middle, right below that $40,000 one, the $75 one for the reset circuit breaker for a pump. You didn't tell me, Joe, that we couldn't check this stuff before we call the electrician in.
I questioned it also, and I didn't know about it till the actual bill came in. And the breaker was tripped, the thermals tripped on the breaker. They went to reset the breaker. It wouldn't stay in on the push button reset, George. It kept popping out, so then they called the Brooks Electric, and I think it was Brooks.
As long as there was
They came in.
explanation, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's what the situation was.
That's all good.
Chris?
Got one question on page 4. Coleman Engineering, Hanbury Lake permit fee for $121.
That's actually some work that we're doing to, to try and, we're working with an old permit that the county actually had, but we had to actually get some engineering information, so that we could, it's for that beach.
For the beach,
The
okay.
beach, yeah. And we had to come up with a profile and different things, so we were doing some research with the old files, and then they had to do some work.
Okay, that's all I have.
Dr. Hayes?
No other questions.
Lee?
I got a couple here. Page 3, excuse me. Inland Power Group, engine cooler repair, 130 for 1,800. What unit is that, Joe? What truck is that? Says number
Truck
one.
number 130.
What's it? A complete new radiator? As I see, it's not Larson. I know they do some of
Yeah,
our
130
radiator work.
130 is the garbage truck. But it was in the shop for some major repairs. It looks, and I was not briefed on every single problem that was wrong with the garbage truck, but I can check on that and get back to you exactly what that is. But it looks
Okay.
like it was a new radiator or something of that nature.
Okay. A little farther down, repair parts for DPW shop garage door, just wear and tear, or,
Yeah, just wear and tear.
okay. And then one other item here, Pomp's Tire Service on page 3, and it's also on page 7. One tire change, number 210, two tire changes, number 131, for $900 and some dollars. And then it says the same thing on page 7, one tire change, number 210, two tire changes, number 131, for $434.
Yeah.
No, like that's $1,400 for one tire change, for 3 tire changes?
No, it's not, Lee. It's 2 separate trucks, and it's just worded that way in here.
But the numbers are the same,
Yeah, I'm
210
just,
and 131.
it's worded wrong.
210 is in the electric
It
department.
is in the electric department, so that's a different truck than the other unit. So it's 2 trucks and 2 tires on the electric department truck and 1 tire on the DPW truck.
Okay. I think that was it. Let's see, I might have one more here, let me check. Yeah, one item under golf, just curiosity more than anything. Irrigation pump computer support? Is the pump set up on a computer to kick in, or?
No, the irrigation system has its own computer system. And
Would that be down by the river then, or is that up?
it's actually the whole system.
It is the whole system?
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
whole
okay.
system, and it's totally on its own computer. It's,
Okay, I'm just more curious than anything on that one. That's all I have.
yeah.
Yeah, I have no other questions. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion, we approve manifest 2014-12 in the amount of $309,426.
I'll support, except Trish, for the $1,316.30 for Spring Valley Road Farm.
Okay, a motion made by Chris, supported by George. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Does anyone from the audience wish to address the council on the minutes manifest or any agenda item? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes. If you wish to address the council on any other topic, there'll be time at the end of the meeting. Okay. In our communications this evening, we have 13 items. The first item is Resolution 2014-18. It's the rates for non-union employees, revision 1. We approved this last meeting. There was a mistake in there on the assessor's salary. The number listed was for the previous contract. So this revision is just correcting the assessor's salary number. Are there any questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2014-18, rates for non-union employees, revision 1.
Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
I got one question, Jeremy, on that.
Okay.
Right here, maybe Ray can explain it. A new rate was established in last year that took into account the additional duties in zoning and code compliance administration. Ray, what is that about? Just
Well,
an explanation.
when we wrote the original contract with Jim, we didn't have any of the zoning, the assistant zoning, all the work he does with the zoning and code, property maintenance. So, I think, last year, we had talked about, bringing that up to current.
Okay, what was the difference in this evidently? I see you've got an arrow on it.
Yeah,
So
it was,
what was the difference from what you showed last?
It's about $5,500 total.
Okay, so actually it went from 20,000 to 25,000.
Yeah, roughly.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just under 20, it was 19.
Okay, I didn't get the,
Okay.
what the connection was. Okay, no problem.
Okay. Next, we have Resolution 2014-19, General Appropriations Act. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an annual resolution that we're required by law. The General Appropriations Act is basically lays out in the resolution the general fund as well as the major and local street fund. So it just highlights the specific categories within those two funds. So it's Resolution 2014-19.
In here, it does set forth that the millage rate, for the cities, the operating millage rate is going to be 16.3942 mils. That's the city's operating millage. There's other things that are on the millage that have been voted in, but that's the city's operating millage.
Which is the same as last year.
Okay, and that, as Ray just said, that's the same millage as we had last year.
By law, we're required to go to 20, is it, Ray?
Well, you can, by charter, you can
By
go to
charter.
20, and then they have what they call a Headley rollback. So we're actually at 19.8, somewhere around there.
Okay,
I got one question, Jeremy, on the second and the third page, down on revenues, right in the center, that transferred in $134,902. Where did that money come from? Where is it transferred in from?
it comes in
into
from
that account?
the utility funds. There's a formula set up where monies are transferred in from the different utilities at certain percentages into the general fund.
Oh, into the general fund, okay, and then next, then, okay. Then on the third page, I see the same thing for 24,000.
Yeah, and it's, well, part of that gets transferred in. The first one is the general fund. The second one is for your, the local street. And the third time you see it's for the major street. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'm looking for a motion. Does the public have any questions on the budget for this year? Okay, otherwise I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that Resolution 2014-19, General Appropriations Act be approved.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Resolution 2014-20, it's the fiscal year 2014-15 operating and capital improvements budget. For the last month and a half or so, the council has met in budget hearings to go through and work through the budget. The budget, currently, the budget is here. I believe it's available for viewing here at City Hall and at the library.
That's correct. That's correct.
So if the public wants to see the budget, this is what it is, but you can see it, either view it here or at the library. This resolution is just to adopt that we have completed the budget. Any questions, comments, or anything on that?
No, I appreciate, or I want to make a general comment, appreciation to the staff for putting up with me for the better part of 6 months. We start this right away in January, and it takes us quite a bit of time to go back and forth. We have 13 funds, and you know, it's a $12 million budget overall. So, you know, it takes some time going back and forth. So just remember, we're going to start thinking about it in another couple months.
Okay, any other questions, comments? If not, looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 2014-19, the General Appropriations Act.
Nope, we're on 20 right
20.
now.
Oh, 20, excuse me, 20.
I'll support.
Capital, yeah,
Yeah, we got it.
we got it.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Next, approval City Hall HVAC upgrade project. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now we're going to get into a number of items that we talked about during budget hearing. Some
projects that we have to move forward. These projects will be into the next fiscal year, but the approvals can happen now so that the contractors can start planning and organizing. The first is this HVAC system at City Hall. I know we've talked about it over a number of years. We have an issue with the control system. Actually, from kind of the start of the new building, we've had some issues with controlling the heating and cooling. Tried to work with the engineer, did some energy control projects, which actually did help, but we got to the point where we just need to revamp the whole control system. As part of this project, we're also requesting to replace one of the boilers, actually the lead boiler. In 2001, the particular vintage boiler, high efficiency boiler, had a condensing problem when it's coming up to and goes back and forth with the temperatures. When it the lag boiler can run at 180 degrees and not have this condensing problem, but when you have different changes, it's really struggled in this. It just happens to be this vintage boiler. So recommendation was to change that lead boiler out so that we can better take advantage of the efficiency in that scenario. So I did receive 3 quotes for this project. For the control side, we have Energy Control and Design Incorporated out of Appleton. Came in at a low responsive price of $28,750. I did talk with ACC Plan Services and also Johnson Controls. You can see their prices, but after doing a thorough review of the company, our WPPI representative is very familiar with energy control and design, and gave them a recommendation based on his experience working with them. So, and they are using Siemens equipment, so it is industry equipment, high quality equipment. So,
And it's off-the-shelf equipment, not custom to just them. So they can be replaced more easily or repaired more easily.
right, and did check out the actual. I went online, they had a demo, and checked it out, and been satisfied that they have a very responsive quote. We also have the price for the new boiler at $20,580. They also recommended that we consider what they call a water maker, a hot water maker system. With the hard water here at City Hall and in the community, our hot water heater, electric hot water heater, has had problems with the elements, and it's not a strong recommendation. It's just since we're doing all this work, they recommended to consider it. What it is it's a tank that sits next to the boiler. It's a zone off the boiler, and basically handles the hot water system. Since we do have in the police department the showers, and we also, we do have a need for the hot water system. Over time, I think that it would be something that would save us money. It's not going to be in the short term though, because it is $7,800. It's not a small ticket item, just something to consider. So I gave you 2 options. I'm not giving a strong recommendation on the hot water maker. However, I do have one in my house. I know it works very well. It's very efficient. It's just that the return on that is going to be a little bit longer. I know, Lee, you've asked me what ROI is on some of this stuff. Yeah. That one is a really hard one to, because you're just offsetting electric with...
I have that same system that you have, and it's a great system. My only question is, that seems awful high. Of course, maybe
Well,
that's
piping
commercial
involved, too.
versus a lot of piping has to be done.
Yeah, see, because our hot water heater is back in the northeast corner, and then the boiler's over in the south. So, I mean, there's going to be some piping. I'm pretty sure that's...
And there can be water or heat lost from that water traveling a long distance.
Well, it's into the system, and they're
Yeah, but most of the hot water is used over here.
well, it goes back and forth within the building. I mean, they're not taking showers every day. I'm just saying that we have a hot water sink over here. It's pretty much all throughout the building. Plus, they insulate the lines too. I mean, they have pipe wrap on the lines to help with the thermal. So, not, I don't think there'll be a tremendous amount of water.
You were saying they had a condensation problem with this main boiler. Perchance, did they have a recall on that? Because I know they've had, on other boilers and that, they've had a recall, and they pretty much come in and replace the whole unit for you.
Yeah, I'm not aware of a recall. I'm sure Dave would have let us know if
Yeah,
there was
well,
a recall.
he would know.
Yeah, he would know. And I don't have a figure for any incentive monies out of the Efficiency United at this point and through the gas and/or electric. That's coming. There will be some numbers that we can put against it, but I just don't have those numbers for me.
Well, even in 2001, the efficiency had to be 80-some%.
I think it was 87%.
But now they're 94, 95, 96.
97 or 93.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be a little savings right there. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll take a while to recoup, but the system's been so screwed up here for 4 years that I know of for sure.
Ray, have you possibly looked into a water softener rather than going with this?
Yeah, George, I mean, unless we get a saltless water softener, then I gotta deal with the salt, you know, so,
That's no big deal.
well, I gotta find somebody to deal with the salt. I mean,
That's easy. I mean, that ain't no problem, really.
yeah.
I mean, that would basically correct your problem for erosion for a water softener. Basically, $7,000 to me. You can
That's-
change a heck of a lot of water elements.
I
or
mean,
heating elements for
George,
that.
I'm not giving a strong recommendation on it.
No.
I mean, he gave it to us, so,
And another question I have, Ray. How did we come about with the design that we're putting in now? And here's my concern, first. When we built this building, I mean, we've had problems from day one, and you're well aware of that. Because you accepted the design of whoever designed the building. So you got a couple different people, I'm assuming here, come in and look. Did they sit down and say, this is the best way to go, this way or that way? Or were both recommendations the same, is basically my question.
what I did was I brought all three businesses in. I clearly identified what our problem was. I had them go through, and I had Dave go through with them the system, so they knew or they understood what we had. And then basically said, give me a solution. And all three of them had the same solution.
Okay.
And they also wanted to save whatever they could, because our equipment, individual pieces of equipment within the system, they don't have to replace all of it. The biggest problem we had was on the control side. So, you know, that's their scrapping, but a lot of the interior equipment is getting saved.
I don't know how many councilmen read this report clearly through. I mean, it's absurd how many thermostats that you got counteracting one to the other.
Yeah,
You just wonder who designed the system to begin with.
yeah. Yeah, and
The low bidder.
in fairness,
Well,
I mean,
it's no sense when you got, 27 thermostats in this?
And-
They're all
and-
doing the same thing?
and if you remember back, George, I mean, I think you were on the council when we built the building. I argued with the engineer at the time. They did not, that particular engineer that designed the system would not warranty, would not step up. And consequently, we don't use them anymore. So, you know, I spent a lot of time arguing with them. I told them that I wasn't appreciative of what they came up with.
No,
Yeah.
Ray, I'm happy the way it was
Yeah.
done. I'm happy the way you're handling it. You got more than one person's idea, and you put them all together, and you come up with a solution. I mean, I truly hope that it works. But as far as the water maker, you
Yeah.
know, I think there's other ways that we can go rather than the $7,000, either a water softener or, you know. I
that will
agree
help.
with
That
you,
will
they're good, and you know, Lee has one, but I think the price is way out of character.
Okay.
And we can, like Ray said, we can take that out, because there's a price listed here with it and without it. So we can approve the price without it. That's what the council wants to do. Any other questions?
I just have one comment on it. I know that we talked about this over budget hearing and went through everything, and We budgeted $60,000 for the project, and it is coming in under budget. But the more thought I kind of put into it over the weekend, and with the very few projects we are doing on the streets, I just don't think this is the time to spend money on our system in the city hall. It is working, it may not be working efficiently, but that's just my feeling on it.
The money for this was coming directly from the electric just for this
Correct.
project. So if we didn't do this, that money wouldn't go into something else, it would just go into the electric fund.
But we could have transferred it to the streets like we've done in the past though, too.
But, well, the electric fund in the next budget's running a $350,000 negative.
That's just my opinion.
That's where it's coming, because of the Tanner Gate.
I understand.
Did you ever figure, Ray, what the payback would be on this, on the 28th?
With the 28, we were talking somewhere in the range of 3 to 4 years. Just on the 28 part.
Really?
Savings in energy on gas.
Right. If you throw in the boiler, it extends it out to about 7 years.
Well, I'm against the boiler, it'd be nice, but no. I mean, the hot water system.
Well,
Oh, no, not with the boiler, with the 17,000 on
but,
the, or
yeah.
the 20,000 on the boiler. Yeah, it comes out to about 6 years.
6 years, okay.
Yeah, so it's about half for the
No, that's a pretty
controls
good
and about
return.
half for the boiler.
Dr. Hayes?
I make a motion, we approve the project for $49,330.
So that's without the water main.
Without the hot water,
Okay.
with energy control and design and best heating.
Support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes?
Mr. Gottstein?
No.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Next is approval GIS contour mapping. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an item that I know we've talked about the properties that we own out by the golf course and the properties we purchased from Dave Anderson. And we've looked at, or we've started to have a discussion about what are we going to do down the road with those properties. One of the key components in just coming up with a simple design is to have an idea on the contours, on the elevations that we're dealing with in the area. If you remember back early 2000s, 2005, 2006, we had a flyover of the community, Norway, Iron Mountain, Kingsford, Brighton Township. We all got together and we had the flyover, and we did map out contours in each community. We subsequently went ahead and had the city limits rectified, which means that we have that, all of those contours within our GIS system. When we annexed this area, it is not within, that original contour map area. So I contacted the new company that purchased out Aircom, and they do have all of that orthographic information, and I asked them for a price on having those contours put together and sent to us digitally, so we can add them to our GIS system. If you notice in the email, I had two prices. One was to include some areas in the township and extended that for the difference, if the township wanted to pick that up. At this point, I have not received any confirmation from them as to whether they wanted to pay that difference. So I just want to move forward, get the contours in the areas that we are concerned with, and start looking at from a utility and possible road scenario out in those areas. The price that they gave me to do that is $4,370. This also does include Forest Drive, which actually, for some reason, did not get, that 40 did not get put into the contour area, so I was going to include that. So all of the areas within our city limits would be rectified.
Two questions, Ray. One, if this property that we bought was in Brighton Township, we wouldn't need this because it would have been done already.
If Brighton Township had done the contour.
Well, according to this in the Charter Township of Brighton. Iron Mountain, Norway, Iron Mountain, Kingsford, and Brighton.
Right, each community, the whole fly was taken and all of the ground points were taken throughout the fly area. But then each community went separately to the companies and said, we want this area mapped.
Oh, I see.
And so there was additional work done to take those ground elevations and put them into contours and rectify them.
So if we had gotten it from Reading, chances are they would have had it.
Would have had, okay, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Norway Township obviously
They
did
did
none
not.
of this, okay.
They didn't do any of the contours.
Question
when we
number
first went
2,
through.
is this a budgeted item?
This is a budgeted item.
What would this save us? Because you're saying it'll allow us to start doing some of it on engineering, or
Yeah.
where would we see savings by doing this?
Well, in order to get elevations, I'd have to have some type of survey done, some type of topographic survey done. This is basically to take it and look at the elevation points, and we do this in areas that we have now when we look at water and sewer especially. Especially sewer where you have, big question is your elevation to see if you could have a gravity system. Water is not such a big deal, but when you look at those contours, you can also you can look at where drives might be, where how many housing areas you might have, so you can actually start taking a look at it. And you can get the engineering firms to give you some very basic information, but this allows us to take a look at it in-house and make some of those decisions.
Would this save us if we do develop it? Would this save us because they wouldn't have to do that kind of a survey?
They really don't have to go out and do a topographic survey unless you have something really specific within the development. And then you usually have the developer involved by that time.
Last meeting, I asked for a list of any city holdings that border the city. Is there anything besides the gravel pit?
There's nothing besides the 40-acre gravel pit. I did not include the gravel pit in this.
Yeah, I can understand
Because
that.
we're taking.
Right, we're taking gravel out of, I can certainly would say there's no point in doing that at this point.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any other lands that we own next to the city.
No, that would be the only other area.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
Okay, I'll recommend that we pass the GIS contouring map system for $4,370, not to exceed.
Support.
Motion made by George, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigini?
No.
Approval, electric department bucket truck purchase. Joe?
This is a budgeted item.
This is next year's budget, so.
Yeah, it's next
we're
year's
not gonna
budget.
we're not gonna take pay for it or take delivery before.
Well, it's 6, 7 months out. We're just getting the approval now so we can start manufacturing it. Yep. But this is a budgeted item. And in fact, the item is $23,000 under the proposed budget item. The current truck that we will be replacing it with has been in operation for 15 years. It's beginning to show some serious wear and tear with rust and mechanical issues. And it's time to move it down the road and replace it per our equipment replacement fund. I have if you look in your budgets, I put together the truck ages and years, and then we try to follow a schedule so you're not without a truck that's not operational or failing. So I had 2 truck manufacturers quote this. Utility Sales and Service out of Kaukauna, Wisconsin, I have Appleton on the sheet, but that's incorrect. It's actually Kaukauna. And they came in at $197,700. And then Altech Corporation came in at $189,998. So there's approximately an $8,500 difference between the two. We brought both trucks in for demos and had the guys run them through the paces. I ran them. There were some things about the utility sales and service truck, ease of operation, and the way, how smooth it was, that was different and a little bit better than the Altech unit. The Altech unit also had a very large stabilization rod that's about a foot underneath the lower boom, that if you have to get in a tight area, it would be more confined than what the utility sales and service vehicle was. So also utility sales and services has been working with the city of Norway for quite a few years. We currently have a truck that they built. We use them for service on all of our vehicles presently and have a relationship with these folks. And they are right down in Kaukauna. They are the closest manufacturer to the city of Norway. So for the reasons I mentioned, I am recommending going with the utility sales and service vehicle.
And I see where our mechanic is real pleased with the service he gets from them also.
Yes, they work very closely with Rick when Rick has a problem and it goes in the shop. Before we call utility sales and service, we try to get Rick to fix it locally right here. He'll call, talk to their mechanic, he tells them what to check, and if we can do it, we'll do it right in our shop, instead of having them come up and pay us.
What are the plans for the truck that this is replacing? As a backup, or can we?
No, we're gonna be getting rid of that truck.
And what is that
The
worth? Do you have
the
any
value of
idea?
that truck is approximately $11,000, is what the trade-in
Do you
value
remember
is.
what that was bought, brand new?
We didn't buy it brand new. We purchased those used through Altech Corporation. They had, when I first came here, the trucks that they had were failing very badly. And in order to do the work that we needed to do and upgrade this, work on the system, we had to upgrade these trucks. And so we bought used trucks from Altech Corporation. And they don't have the fiberglass bins like we would normally spec on a truck if we were to get a new one now. So they're rusting real bad, the bottoms are falling out. So it's just time to get it replaced.
So is that trade-in figured into this price?
It's not figured in, no. I left the trade-in out. The reason I left the trade-in out, because I have someone that might be interested in buying it outright from us for more than that, and I will get the most I possibly can for it. And then that'll get deducted from this. So I'm asking for an approval of $197,700, if, less whatever I can get for the other truck.
And 20 cents.
Yeah, and 20 cents.
Joe, how come on the, this final page here, it's 195.7, and your quote is 197.7? The last page.
Yeah, I gotta find it, George. There's a lot of pages here. Are you talking about the utility sales?
Yep.
Yeah, the utility sales one,
Oh.
the pricing summary at the very end, it says $195,700.20.
What page is that?
Did
Page 11.
Did I do a typo?
I think it might have been a typo, because that's page 11 of the
Okay.
utility sales bid.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now. Yep. I have it 195 in my write-up on the top, but I put 197, so it's just a typo. I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's just a typo, it should be no 195. That should be
Should be 95 or 197?
195.
195,720 cents.
So you've got 197 here in two places on the front page, that's what's getting confusing here.
Yeah. It's the 195 is the right number. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the bid for Altech for $195,720.
No,
No.
Utility
the other
sales.
one.
The bid is for utility sales and
Okay,
service.
yes, you're right. I'm sorry, Jeremy. Utility sales of, that says Appleton on here, but it is an Appleton.
Another type. of-
Cacon.
Well, they have an office in Appleton too, but we use the Cacon office.
Okay.
You got me, Trish?
I got you, George, yeah.
Thank you.
Is there, okay. Motion made by George, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein,
Yes.
Mr. Ball,
Yes?
Mr. Oja,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Dr. Hayes.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is approval of major street maintenance for Section Street and Kimberly Road. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When we went through the major and local street funds this year during budget hearing, obviously every year we look at what kind of street projects we got planned for the year, what kind of monies are available, and maintenance, what kind of maintenance can we possibly perform. For a street project this year, we do have the Railroad Avenue project, the reconstruction, which is going to happen here right after the 4th of July. It's going to start. That's going to go from Iron Street up to Walnut Street. And then in possibly the 2015 and definitely by 2016, we're going to have some major water and sewer work with street reconstructions. One of the areas of maintenance that we considered, especially last year, was a couple of different types of processes on streets that are not failing, but are at a certain point within their pavement condition and life cycle that if you perform a couple different types of processes on them, it'll extend the life of the road to avoid the failure aspect. One of the types of projects is called a crack seal, or not crack seal, but chip seal. The chip sealing is mainly done in rural type roads. So one thing we talked about during, one road we talked about during budget hearing was Kimberly Road. The other is what's called microsurface. That was something that, remember last year during our, and even earlier this year, when we had Farner Asphalt come in, a representative from Farner Asphalt come in and was explaining the micro seal process. And when he came through and looked at the crack sealing work that we had last year in our, basically our street system, recommended that we consider within the next few years doing this process on Section Street, because overall the condition is in a mid-level area, but it's right at the tipping point, and this particular process would definitely save that street. So we put together, we had a bid spec put together, and we did receive 2 bids for this work. Farner Asphalt obviously gave a price for both the chip seal and the microsurface. Provide that within your packet. And then Scott Construction gave us a price just for the chip seal. Farner was the only bidder on the microsurface at $38,025, but Scott Construction actually had a lower price on the chip seal. So I guess what we're recommending is that we award the microsurface to Farner Asphalt for $38,025 and the chip seal to Scott Construction at $29,320. When we went through the bid documents, the specs within the documents are exactly the same, so should be the same project, same process.
If we do approve the micro seal, they're gonna have to work closely with Baco on the scheduling, because we can't tell people to park on the street and then not let them park on the street because we're doing this.
Correct. We already had a conversation with Baco. We also had a conversation with Farner, and they both agreed that we'd be able to coordinate on the project. Baco actually has a dual coordination because they're going to go through, replace the sidewalk and the work and get out of there, and then we'll do the microsurface, and then at the end of the project, there's some painting that has to be done, striping, and so Baco will come back in after and finish that striping. So, but they're very familiar with I laid out what the requirements are, so we'll be able to coordinate.
Baco doesn't do either of these processes?
No. They didn't bid on it, they wouldn't bid on it. It's too small.
Have we gotten good recommendation on this other company?
Yeah, they were actually recommended from somebody else. Actually, Troy, you did some groundwork, calling around, so you were able to, actually, you were the one that located Scott. So, who recommended them?
Dunright Construction in Wisconsin.
Yeah. And that was actually out of a county, I believe, too, wasn't it, that you were calling around and?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Was Farner's bid separate, or was it contingent on them getting both projects for mobilization costs?
from what I see, it was separate. Bob is here tonight, I mean.
I'm here, I thought it was a combined bid. We're in there, we're, doing some stuff. My only question is, if you're using a polymodified oil, Scott this is polymodified oil in their bid?
It's the same, they bid the same spec, so.
Okay.
I see they're taking it right out to the city limits, like 1.49 miles.
Correct.
Ray, who is going to repair the holes in the blacktop?
On Section
That are,
Street.
yeah, well, on both of them really, I mean,
Well,
there should be, because on Section Street, there's holes that, from the top to the second layer of blacktop that are gone already.
Bob, you wanna address that?
I missed that question.
Are you gonna repair the holes that, from the blacktop, the top coat of blacktop that's separated and gone? The holes that are there, are you going to?
There's a hole there, yes, and then I have a scratch course in there too, that's a separate level in there to fill in some of the rust a little bit too before we put on surface course on. So, yes, most of it's been cracked, there are some smaller holes that are there that need to be patched. And we'll take care of that.
There's some good chunks of blacktop that are missing out of, down beyond the school, I noticed already, so, that you're just not spraying it on and spraying the chips over it.
And those are some of the points we addressed when we did the crack sealing, when we were there. Part of my bid too was on there, I mean, I suppose I can live with it, but we are here doing this, there is I wasn't sure about the company coming through doing the microsurfacing here in town, it's a pretty big, they do a continuous. So I kind of skewed I thought they were combined, so I took a little bit out of my micro and put it into my chip seal just to keep my microsurface prices down with the one company coming here doing the state work through town, so. And I thought it was a bid for both. I thought it was a combination bid, it was microsurfacing chip seal, total bid price. So I thought it was a total bid price for the project.
I thought we had talked about that they're two separate. So that's, I guess,
Okay, I guess we have to live with it.
Any other questions?
Well, I would certainly like to have somebody just, I mean, not that I have any mistrust of the company or anything, but, at least have one of our people kind of watch over to, and make sure that the holes and stuff that are out there are getting repaired.
yeah, we'll have somebody, I mean, Joe will, be, either himself or somebody will be watching.
Okay, I don't have no other questions.
Do we need to have Jay's office look this over before we approve anything, in case there is something in the bid that may come up if they're combined or not combined?
We can approve it pending the approval of our city attorney too.
You can take a look at it, that's not an issue we were aware of. When I look at it, when I look at the bid request we put out, it does, to me, it looks like it's a bid on the whole project, not just parts. But that's, looking at it, that's why I look at it. It's council's discretion as to what we want to do.
We have budgeted for, you know, either direction that you want to go with it. I mean, it's within the budget, so. There's a difference of
I mean, there's
$7,300.
quite a chunk of money here. I mean, you're looking at $7,000 difference. I mean,
Yeah,
My
7,300.
God, I don't know any town that throws $7,000 out the window.
Nope.
I,
I don't know if we're being fair in our bid document, though.
well, that's what you got a lawyer here for. To look them over, and if there's any, I would accept them the way they're written up here.
Do you want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion. Scott's for the $29,320, and Fastener Asphalt and Sealing for $38,000.
Pending approval by Jay's office.
That's right.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Motion made by George, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
No.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
No.
Okay, next on the agenda, approval cable TV department FCC proof with documentation. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an annual requirement that we have. It's a budgeted item that we have every year. And in this particular proposal, we actually have a 3-year period for this performance testing. So we have CCI, both CCI and technology planners put in quotes for us, and CCI has a low responsive bid of $20,400.
Okay. Chris, you would probably be the one of us to know the most about this. Did you see any issues with this?
No.
Joe, is there anything?
No, we just, like Ray mentioned, it's a 3-year deal this time, instead of coming every year to do it. I was trying to get some efficiencies, price breaks on locking one company in for 3 years.
And that price is a 3-year price, it's not a
That's a 3-year price, yes.
I'm assuming this was budgeted.
Yes, it's a budgeted item.
Make a motion, we approve the FCC proof of performance testing for CCI Systems Incorporated for $20,400.
Support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by George. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Approval, ordinance 411, amend the City of Norway noise ordinance number 377. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an issue that came up a few months ago dealing with our noise ordinance. We had a neighborhood, an area that resident was complaining, and the police department, the chief came to me and basically said that in our current ordinance during the daytime hours that he was struggling with the language to actually write a ticket for the situation. The resident was not happy, but we investigated or took a look at the current language and made a suggestion. He made a suggestion for something that we could use for any time during the day where we have an egregious situation, egregious noise situation. Larry and I had a conversation earlier today, and I don't know, I think I'm maybe turn it over to you, Larry, but he thought that maybe the language could be used, but maybe we should table it for 2 more weeks or 3 weeks until the next meeting. And I think you wanted to further define that, didn't you? Turn it over.
Well, yes, we didn't want to, we want the city police to have the authority to enforce the law. It's pretty clear, so if we know what an egregious noise is. The problem is we have to take a look at the whole ordinance. It may not be clear, and we don't want people getting tickets and then challenging it, saying that it's pretty vague in terms of what we're doing. So only having seen it today, I thought that Ray and I might be able to take a little better look at it and talk to the chief and see if we can come up with something that he can get his arms around a little better. Because I think I understand what his intent is, and we want to make sure he's got clear-cut authority to do something if it needs to be done. But it should be a little clearer.
So just the issues that you have are more, not the time changes, but just defining egregious.
Yes, there's one sentence here. We want to make sure that we're not overstepping our bounds, but at the same time giving the police the authority to do something meaningful in a bad situation for the public health, safety, and welfare.
Does anybody have any issues with putting this off?
I got an issue with the time.
Okay.
It's 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, I think, is too late. I think that should be left at 7. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, I agreed it should be changed to 10.
Okay.
But I believe, everybody, any working person starts at 7. Fact is, everybody starts at 7. I don't know why we have to go to 8 o'clock.
Well, actually, what you're doing is you're extending the nighttime rules are stricter than the daytime rules. They could actually write the ticket on the nighttime rules as currently written, and so that 8 a.m., that was extending it from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., so that 1 hour, additional 1 hour was actually, I probably take into account what you're thinking, is that people are getting up, and so it's actually reverse. It's like 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. is your quiet time, as opposed to 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Well,
Does that make sense?
I think what George is saying, though, he thinks that 8 is too late. That at 7, things are already starting up, people are up, things are starting.
Oh, okay, I see what you're
So
saying.
he wants to leave it at
You
7.
want to leave it at 7 for
I'd
that
leave
reason.
it at 7.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Where they,
And
where
10
they
o'clock
pulled
at
it-
night, I have no problem with, but 7 o'clock in the morning, I think, anybody that starts on construction starts at 7.
Where they pulled the 8 o'clock from is, in the noise ordinance, it specifically says lawnmowers cannot be run till 8 o'clock. So that's where the 8 o'clock came
I'd be
from.
perfectly great with that.
We can,
Sorry.
I don't think there'd be any big issues with leaving it.
Either, but I
No, one thing is we wanted to make it consistent within the ordinance, because there were 2 different times in the ordinance. So what we wanted to do is, I think we chose 8, but there was another area that already had 8. So what we should do is make them consistent within the ordinance. So if we go 10 to 7, we'll just make it consistent within the ordinance.
I would be happy with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So table this 2 more
Yeah,
weeks.
just consider this a first reading, and we'll hit it at the
Okay, next meeting, we'll bring it back again.
Do you need a motion to table then? No?
No, we'll just call it first reading of the ordinance.
Okay, next is Resolution 2014-21, 2014 foreclosed property purchase authorization. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Every year, the city of Norway, along with other municipalities, receive a list of foreclosed properties within their jurisdiction. The foreclosed properties are properties that are going over back to the state under the tax foreclosure. The property owner has opted not to pay their taxes in a 3-year period, and so then the state has a foreclosed, what they call a foreclosed property auction. Each municipality has the ability or the right of first refusal to pay the back taxes on the property and then take ownership of the property. Typically, we look through the list, but there usually aren't any properties that have specific or interest for a municipality. But in this year, we actually have one on Main Street that is next to, what was the old pizza place. It's a vacant lot. The amount that is for back taxes is $1,000. Was it $1,076, I believe.
And 40, yeah, 1,076.40.
And I brought this to the DDA because the DDA has talked about this lot for a number of years, mainly because the current property owner has not, we've talked to him on many occasions about cleaning the lot up, maintaining it, keeping it clean. And the DDA has been keenly aware of this lot, brought it to them, and they thought, they're giving us a recommendation back that we should go ahead and obtain ownership of this lot, control of what happens to it. There are a couple other properties within the city that we are struggling with now because they have gone to tax sale, and now we're struggling from property maintenance standpoint for various reasons, but the main reason is that people from outside the community, they never step foot in the community. They basically do all of these auctions from a distance, and they buy the properties, and they have no intention of really putting any ownership into it other than they try to flip it, sell it, and whatnot. You know, we have two in town right now that we're struggling with. We talked about them under property maintenance. We go and send the letter, cut the grass, and we'll never get reimbursed because they never pay the property tax. And so 3 years from now, it reverts again. It doesn't get bought up on the first sale, which is where you get your taxes back. It goes to the second sale, which is open bid, and the taxes and any liens on it are forgiven. So it's our recommendation that we put forward a resolution to purchase the property for $1,000 and control the destiny of that property. And we can take a look at how we want to have it. You know,
Do you have the plot on that, Ray? I mean, is that the whole lot? Because there's some talk that the Legion owns a few feet to that.
Legion owns 10 feet of it.
Yeah, there's 10 feet to the south that the Legion does own.
And what's the total of that, 30 feet?
It's a 30-foot lot, I believe.
It's a 30-foot lot, so it'd be 40 feet between, okay.
I think it's no, I think it's a 30-foot total with 10 foot.
Ray, I'm not positive, but I think it's a 35-foot lot. The city owns, the Legion owns 10, and I think there's a 25-foot.
Yeah, I know it's not
I
40
believe
foot,
that.
it's less than that.
Quote me on it, but I think that's what
Yeah.
it is.
Is this a buildable lot?
When you talk about zero lot lines and you talk about long-term potential of a new building going up, sure, it could be utilized at some point. Economics, though, have been such that there hasn't been a whole lot of movement, you know, on the main street for new buildings. We went through the same thing with the DDA on the old Toddy's lot. We made it a parking lot, and one of the reasons that they moved forward with it is we needed the area to be cleaned up, and we, down the road, if that lot became available for, you know, if somebody wanted to build something there, that they would entertain that. I mean, what you lose is basically the parking lot. In this situation, we'd have to look at, you know, you don't want to put a lot of infrastructure into it, at least for us, but you do want to control it, clean it, make sure it stays nice, because it's right there in the center of our downtown. And that's pretty much where the DDA has recommended. And the city the city has to handle the resolution. The DDA couldn't handle it. It has to come through the city.
Well, and if we buy it and it has, under this method, it has to be for public use, for public benefit.
Right.
So we couldn't really turn around and immediately sell it to somebody.
Is the DDA going to be able to transfer funds back to the city for this?
We haven't gotten that far in the conversation. I have to have a resolution to the state by July 1st. And so, you know, we have a meeting coming up this week. So I can't give you a definitive answer on that. We've had a lot of different conversations of what we would do down in the future. I think it's just kind of, we have to get the resolution put forward so we can.
I think personally, I think it's good, at least for us, to at least have the control on it at that point. That way we can maintain it, we can keep it cleaned up. That's my thought. Is there any other questions, comments, or a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion that Resolution 2014-21 be approved for the foreclosed property purchase authorization.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Next, we have approval low-income energy assistance program, Public Act 95 of 2013, opt-in or out. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've had some conversation over the last month on this issue, something that came up, it started last year by the governor's office and the state legislature. This was the infamous 99-cent per meter that we had to put on the bills in order to opt into the program. Every year, we have to evaluate whether or not we stay in or opt out of the program. If we opt out, then we are basically telling the state that we will not shut off electric during the times from November 1st through April 15th. So, basic council's decision. We do not have the exact amount yet. Once they know who's in and who's out, then the state actually does the calculation and lets us know how much per meter. The cap, though, by legislation is 99 cents.
Did we shut anybody's power off last year?
We did not. Under the current law, we have what we call a winter protection plan. It's required. So we work with homeowners or renters, utility customers, you know, on the
Well,
back
I
bills.
guess where I'm going is say, by having this, we're telling the people that we can shut them off, and if not, they could run up a bill and...
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
I did give you a handout where we're keeping track of our MMEA membership as to who's opting in and who's opting out. Some of the communities, the utilities that have opted out last year are opting in this year because they saw that happen.
I think during the course of the meetings, Ray had asked, I don't know if I had asked Mary or somebody, you know, was there any account of the possibility of how much we ever lost in the back? Mary, I don't know if I recall asking you that. You know, the
Yeah, we
past
talked.
years, was there any figure really come up of how much it cost us?
You had mentioned that, we did not put nothing together, but I can do that, George, I can look back through our, the uncollectibles and let you know. I can give you that number.
I think the big thing when we did it last year was the potential. 'Cause one person could potentially cost us thousands of dollars if they
Yeah, but
came in.
how much are we paying in every month to the state for that?
We're not, it's 99, we're charging, it's a pass-through.
How many people we got?
It's right around $2,000 a
It's
month.
$2,100.
But it's not actually costing us.
For how many months? 6?
No, that's every month.
Each month, 12 months.
For 12 months, so it's $24,000.
But it's not actually costing us anything.
I know, but we're charging our customers that. I mean, you know, that was my concern. I mean, is there ways that we can get, you know, what does it actually cost in the city if we don't get in? We're saving the customers, sure, only $12 a year, but, I mean, in the long run, I would really like to get some kind of an idea, Mary. You know, I don't know if that would change me one way or the other, but, you know, what is the potential? How many, I mean, you know, you're probably, you and Tricia and Lisa probably know better. You could probably go down that list and know exactly who's not gonna pay their bill.
I
You know,
think the
I'm
problem,
not looking for exact figures or anything, but
we can give you historical numbers, but I think the problem will get worse by opting out because now they know you can't shut them off.
no, I agree with you. I
And
agree.
they're not, you know, we run into that, you know, before the winter protection plan came along, we ran into that. So I think it'll get worse by opting out.
Yeah, the winter protection plan actually helped us because it gave us the formula by which the law said that we use to work with customers.
No, I agree. I mean, for the city, it's a no-brainer. We're not losing a penny. But it's costing our customers a lot of money. You know, I mean, you gotta look at both sides here. I wish, if it's possible, you know, is there a time frame on here, Ray, that we
July
have to
1st.
have? Okay, do we have one more meeting or no?
No, we need to talk to or get our decision to Jim Weeks at the MMEA by June 23rd.
Oh, okay.
Ray,
But he'll submit for us. He submits for all of the MMEA membership.
it says here the factor will be the same for all rate classes and shall not exceed $1 per month.
Right.
So can we make it less?
No, the state sets the amount.
Or the state sets
So
it?
if more people are opting in, the state may set a lower amount because there's more people in the pool. It depends on, they have a certain dollar amount they want,
And
and the more
now
people
the
in.
state's collecting all this money. What are they doing with it?
It goes to,
Bonuses to the representatives.
Oh, okay.
no, it goes to certain agencies that distribute for low income,
Oh.
for assistance during the winter. The law actually says that communities that opt out, any utility customer within that community is not eligible for those funds because you're not paying in to the fund. So within the write-up, within the information, there's actually two funds that I highlighted, which basically talked about where our utility customers will go for assistance.
Whatever happened to that gentleman that came in last year and said it was illegal? Has he been paying?
Yeah, he paid. See, if you notice on the first page, it talks about if a utility chooses to opt out, it does not collect the surcharge, and it is prohibited from disconnecting residential customers. It would also make its customers ineligible for what they call SER funds, emergency recovery funds. And those are handled through Human Services.
Mary, if it would be, an extremely lot of work, even if not for this year, it would be nice to have, some figures or some ideas for next year, where we're standing on this thing.
We could do that.
I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments or any?
I'll make a motion that the city of Norway opt in on the PA 95 low-income energy assistance program and collect the necessary funds from our customers.
Support?
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yeah.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Approval Resolution 2014-22, approval for wastewater sludge disposal. This is the same well, at least mostly the same resolution we did last year. It's just letting it's saying that as a council, we know our sludge is being sent to Wisconsin to be spread on farmers' fields. The Wisconsin DNR requires that we do this, just to say, yes, we know it's going there, essentially. But in order to have it shipped there to be spread, we have to pass this.
I'll make that we approve resolution for approving wastewater sludge disposal in Wisconsin.
Support.
Motion made by George, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
And the last thing on our list this evening is approval special events application, Corpus Christi procession. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Received an application for a special event for a procession submitted by St. Mary's and St. Barbara's Church. It's a Eucharistic procession starting from St. Mary's Church at Main Street, proceeding north on Main Street, then east on 9th Avenue and north on Section Street, ending at Railroad Avenue. Procession scheduled for June 22nd and it'll run between 11 and 11:30 a.m. It is the Corpus Christi procession.
So what they would be needing from us is the police to escort them across US 2.
Yeah, the police will hold up at the light
Right.
to allow them to get past US 2. And then because it's a procession on the street, it's per our guidelines, this council needs to approve
Right.
utilization of the right-of-way.
I'll make a motion, special event application from the St. Mary and St. Barbara churches be approved.
Motion made by Lee, supported by George. Roll call.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
That's our business this evening. Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on any topic? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes.
Daryl Harder, 600 15th Avenue. I've just got something that, I brought it up last month on getting some grass cut, and when people mow the grass, they mow from the front of the street to their house, and don't worry about the side of the house. The grass is up 3 feet tall now on the side of their house, which is along the alley, and it looks terrible. 15th Avenue looks terrible to begin with because it's a gravel road instead of a blacktop because of the freeze-ups. Now we've got grass growing, it's gonna be up to the top of their fence by the end of summer, so.
What to do, the best way to get that handled is to come in and talk to Lisa or the ladies in the office, and they'll get it into the system so that we can track where it is, so we know what address it is, so we can track it and deal with it through that.
Well,
That's the
they
most-
already sent them a letter,
What?
and all they did was mow the front. So, I don't know.
Okay, so it's a follow-up on
Yeah, it would be a
on an
follow,
action?
it'd be a follow-up on it. Like
Alright.
like I said, for grass complaints and grass issues, coming into the office and letting the ladies in the office know. That puts it into our system, so we can make sure we know where it is, and we can make sure we stay on it and it doesn't slip through.
Okay, thank you.
Darrell, I'll talk with Jim on Wednesday and we'll take a look at that address. We'll see what we can.
Okay.
we can do.
Does anyone else wish to address the council?
Pete Hoppers, Curry Road. I was just wondering, you say everything's budgeted. Did our budget increase? Or is it gonna increase?
What was the budget compared to last year?
Budget increased by about 3% for the total over the 12 million.
Oh, it never goes down then? It always goes up?
Well, it's a general statement, but
It depends on the needs of the budget.
13 funds, so.
So you're taking more in and spending more then, right?
Costs, yes, as costs increase, we take in more revenue to cover the costs.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Thank you.
Dennis Peterson, 213 13th Avenue. I don't think you have to spend $4,000 on a topographical map. You can go to the DNR, get one for that area. Or ATC, when you were coming through running these power lines and that stuff, they all took topographical maps.
Okay.
And I want to know about the ordinance about trailers in front of houses.
What did you want to know?
Where are they allowed to be?
To be in the front yard, a trailer has to be on a hard surface.
Well, how come the city manager doesn't have to do it?
Well, first thing, it's on my property.
I know it's on your property, but I had a trailer that was on my property in the front of my house, and I got a $100 fine.
Your camper?
No.
Well, my trailers move around, and they're on the side, and they're in the
mine
back of
move-
my house.
Mine move
But
around
the
too.
difference is, it's on front yard, difference between front yard and backyard and side yard.
Okay,
In a
but
front
where's
yard,
the
it
front
requires-
yard, where's the backyard?
Front yard's off the street.
Front yard is
You're
defined
not
by
on
a
the
street.
street.
I'm not on the street.
No.
You're right, I'm off the alley,
Okay, but you can see it from the parking lot and from that street.
but I'm off the alley.
Wow. Still, it's an eyesore. You got 3 trailers there.
In the zoning, a front yard is defined as proximity to the street and the structure, between the street and the structure.
And I want to know who's going to teach the people to walk on the sidewalks when you put these new sidewalks in?
That I can't help you with.
Because nobody uses them now.
Hopefully, if they have a nice new sidewalk that's wide and flat, people will use them. Anyone else wish to address the council? Lee?
2 comments. One, in the Norway Current here last week or 2 weeks ago, there was an article by A.J. Campbell, Conservation District Forester for Dickinson and Menominee Counties, the Strawberry Lake Creation Through Destruction. Nice little article. He agrees 100% with what we did there. I'm sure you can go online and read it in the Current if you want to. And the other comment, I'd like to congratulate our boys baseball team and our girls softball team for winning the district. That's all I have.
Dr. Hayes.
I'd like to bring up something that I brought up in the past a couple of times. We all agree that the city streets are in bad shape. We need funds to redo the streets, to improve the streets. And the question is, where are we going to get these funds? We either have to do it through taxes or through utility billing. I think we had a good opportunity to take some of the money that we were getting from our good water this year, instead of refunding it to all our customers in the township and in the city, we should have taken that money and put it into our streets. I'd like to see us, it's too late for this year because the water levels are now down. I would think that, Joe, if we're still producing.
We're just running one unit at this time.
But I would think hopefully in the fall we're going to get some good water, and hopefully next spring we'll get some good water. And I think if we get good water, we ought to take that extra revenue that we get and put it into our streets rather than having to raise taxes or put up with the bad streets. So I strongly believe that. I'd also like to wonder if are we using the street sweeper this year?
Yes, the street sweeper's been out on 6 different occasions.
Oh, okay. So I understood that it hadn't been out yet. And we're catching up finally on patching the streets, I guess. We're hiring new people to help.
They started this morning, the 2 new street maintenance guys.
And they're in and that's in the budget too for next year?
Yes. Obviously, they're trying to do I was with them this morning, and we're doing the pothole repair a little bit differently than we had in the past to try to get some more longevity with the hot box. And I worked with them this morning. It's going to be a little more lengthy to get it done, but I think we'll have a better product at the end, and we won't be wasting the cold mix as much as we had been in the past. So,
Well, that'll be a benefit. It might take a little longer, but if it holds up.
it might take a little longer, but I believe in the long run, we're going to get more longevity out of what we do patch. So obviously, there's many roads to hit, and I'm aware of almost all of them. And if I'm not, people remind me of where they are. So if there's something that's hazardous in a main traffic area, we'll try to get to it sooner than later. But right now, we're trying to stay on a road and repair it completely and then move on to another one.
Well, Railroad Avenue, like Ray said, is going to be reconstructed starting after the 4th of July. So
Yeah.
this year, we may not do much of any patching on Railroad
Right.
because there's no point to put the patch in and then in less than a month tear it up.
I instructed them this morning, the piece of railroad in the new one-way area there that we did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
To patch that area, because that
Right.
was several years out. But the rest of it, no, not to patch that area.
Joe, can they possibly just throw some dirt in the holes? There's some holes down on the east end that are.
Yeah, I know, I went through them this morning. I know
Yeah,
exactly
just-
where they are.
Just fill the holes up with sand or anything, just so you don't bottom out on the cars. I mean, I realize, I know where you're coming from, but just fill the holes up with something.
Yeah, this mix is over $100 a ton, and a ton is like a scoopful on the front end loader, and it's not very much, so.
No, just put sand or something in them, gravel, anything.
I can put I'll try some road gravel on it, George, and see
Yeah,
how
I mean,
that
just
holds up.
anything rather than hitting and blowing tires, I think would be a plus.
Okay.
I just drive on the shoulder there, George.
Well, so do I, but I mean, I drove on the shoulder and 2 cars passed me just coming down to.
And then you create dust.
I didn't realize I was going that slow.
Go ahead, Dr. Hayes.
And finally, since Lee brought it up, my impression is that most foresters think of trees as a crop, and they're interested in nice straight rows and tall straight trees, and they're not really interested in wildlife. But in those parts of the, yeah, I realize he said that in there that second growth trees is where birds migrate, but believe me, there's lots of second growth forest around for birds to migrate through. I'm more interested in providing shade, walking around the trail, and for animal habitat, so you get to see a variety. I went for a walk in that area one time and counted 30 different birds in a half an hour, or maybe it was an hour, but in that neighborhood. And so I'd like to see us retain the rest of the woods around that. I know box elders are not the most beautiful trees in the world, but they do provide shade, and they do provide habitat for a variety of birds. And there's no use making it all second growth forest in the area. Gotta have something a little more mature. That's all I had to, I wasn't gonna bring that up, but since Lee brought it up, I thought I should respond.
Chris?
Same comment on the street cleaning. I know I talked to Joe last week about it a little bit. The parking lots downtown are pretty bad too, or if we can get those cleaned up.
Yep.
And then the issues with the internet over the weekend, and then this morning, I did see the explanation for the outage this morning, which was unacceptable by any standards put out there.
I would agree. I mean, we weren't even notified that they were gonna be doing the maintenance.
Yeah, and at 10 o'clock in the morning is not ideal.
Well, they did it at 1, but we didn't realize there was an issue till later, and they claimed they didn't know it either, so that yet has not been totally resolved. So we're working, and it's a process.
Yeah, and I like to say this was the first time this has ever happened,
Yeah.
and it's not.
No, it's not.
And every time it happens, they promise it will be changed in the future. I'm starting to lose faith that it's going to change in the future.
I would tend to agree with that statement, but there is a new man at the helm, so I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. But we had a conversation early this morning.
Okay. My main concern is that we're raising the rates for internet. We're supposed to be increasing our speeds for internet, yet the performance of the internet is decreasing. So people are paying more and getting less at this point, and I hope that we can get that resolved before rates go up July 1st.
Well, I know the last 2 weekends have been pretty rough, especially the last 2 Sundays. I've noticed it bad on the last 2 Sundays.
Yeah, this past Sunday it was unusable. I just stopped using it. So, that's all I have.
George?
Ray, any answer yet on, from the county on subsistence for frozen water lines?
I just talked to Pete Schlitt this morning. He, all the information now is in, so they're reviewing it, and hopefully they come up and, they have to do a site visit before they award any kind of federal financial assistance. But they are still gonna look at it county by county. So, I think Marquette.
Water running down the road up here though, so all our costs aren't in yet.
Well, we had to do some estimates. We had to have the costs in by June 11. So we estimated repairs on the highway, and we estimated what we had left. So.
Okay. How about what was the decision, I didn't see nothing in the paper, on Iron Mountain? Did they pay their dues or no on that?
No, Iron Mountain's not gonna pay their back dues.
Oh, so we're not paying ours then either?
No.
So as of
Good
July,
idea,
as of
Doc.
July 1st, we'll be out.
Good idea, Doc, thank you. And maybe Joe and Ray and people in the office, maybe next year, is there a possible way that maybe we can get the jump on hiring our summer employees earlier? I mean, I realize, I don't know how many people that we're hiring from school that we have to wait for schools out. But, I mean, we're here in the middle of June. If we're looking to get any amount of work out of them, I mean, the summer's half over and we only got one more week and time starts to get darker, Joe.
Yes, you're correct, George, that we do have to wait till school lets out or kids graduate before we put them on staff. Because of the winter we had and staffing levels in the street department, we didn't have time for the potholes like we normally would have time for. So hiring these other two individuals was a thought that came after we realized we weren't going to get to it. Now, these two individuals are not students or anything, but they will be working into October. So they'll be
Okay,
here
well,
for quite a while.
That's better.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Yep.
I had, a month ago, I had asked if we could come up with a list of the jobs that weren't done this past winter,
Yes.
and also the jobs that we were scheduled to do this summer. And I haven't received any of that yet. It was, I know, at the last council meeting, you said it would be following, but I haven't seen anything. And Ray, I see in your comments to us, your multicolor and Kaiser, that you had some communications with them people. Does it look good or not?
Well, I don't want to say publicly. I mean, those are private conversations that we have. Go in and talk to the companies. One of the things I do is I go in and we talk to them about what can we do to help, if they need, what are their needs, are we doing what they expect, and, kind of get their pulse. So I thought it was some real good meetings,
I agree, Ray, I agree 100% with you, but I'm wondering if this is too late. If we should be doing this regardless ahead of time to see what we can do.
Don't read into the reason we're going over there is because we think they're in trouble. I mean.
No, but I mean, just to go in and talk and work with some of these companies, is there anything that we can do to make things better for you here in Norway? Rather than wait till,
Well, this isn't the first conversation I've had with these companies. It just happened that there's a new person hired by the MEDC, Kathy Cole retired. She was going to be in the area, and so, we took the opportunity to go in. I mean, I've had conversations with these companies over the years, and so if they're handling projects, is there anything that, they need from us? We have different opportunities with tax abatement, personal and real and
No,
personal.
I realize that because being with the DDA, I know sometimes it's very hard to communicate with them. You give them all the opportunities and they don't take advantage of them. But I'm just, trying to look ahead of time and see here, this is something that maybe we should possibly stay in constant contact with somebody, with our larger company, or any company, really.
The conversations were positive. I mean, the conversations were, they have my card. I obviously can pick up the phone and call. I have their card. I mean, I can pick up the phone and call. So it's good, open dialogue.
Yeah.
With those conversations, was the partnership, was Bruce in the partnership?
Bruce was there, yes.
Yeah, well,
He was with me.
that's the weather, and that's why I was just wondering, because of the circumstances here, now all of a sudden Bruce is coming down and trying to work and do a little stuff here to make it look better for us. I mean, it certainly looks fishy, really and truthfully. I mean, whether you want to take it that way or not, but anyhow. And I think the last thing here is that Legion Ellie. Have we got any comments back from Coleman on that, Ray, what they're going to do? I talked with Jeremy last council meeting, and I thought I'd be happy. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself. If nothing else, if they just sprayed the side of the building with a tar base or something of the Legion, just to stop the water from penetrating in. But after I thought about it more, is the job really done right? And I guess that should be talked about amongst the council and know what's happening over there, and is this acceptable? Is the city really gonna settle for this or not? Lee seen what was going on over there, I think you did too, Ray. I haven't, so I'm running off with my mouth here, and I don't even know, what's happening over there, but I certainly don't think the city should stand for water running around and running down the end of the alley and missing the manhole altogether. I don't think that is the way it was designed.
Well, I brought this to the DDA, because the DDA actually was the one that paid the bill.
Okay.
So I wanted them to review this. Scott has said that he will do whatever he can along the building, like you mentioned, try and keep water from coming in. There's a lot of discussion about whether we should tear up the alley, to repitch it, and I don't think there was much support to tear up the alley at this point. One of the things they wanted to do was see what they could do along the building for, stopping any water from going in, at this point.
The only thing is, in talking with George, that still won't fix the issue of the water running away from the drain. That shouldn't have been left like that. If they weren't gonna utilize that storm drain, then they should have taken it out, and it should have been in the original design. The original design had the road pitched in to be able to utilize that drain. And I don't know that a proper fix should include that. It should include fixing the road to function as it's supposed to.
Yeah, we had a lot of people look at it, and I don't think the people that looked at it felt that the water missing the drain was actually causing the water going into the building.
True.
I mean, that was.
I agree.
That was the thing. I mean, it looks bad that it's not hitting that drain, but it's not actually what's causing the water to come into the building. So, I mean, that's why there was an extended conversation at the DDA meeting about, let's fix the problem. And, I mean, if you capped it and the water just continued down the alley and went to the next catch basin, you'd probably have the very similar situation.
And I agree, it probably isn't fixing the alley wouldn't keep the water out of the building, just from what I've heard and what the engineers are saying. But the alley would be then functioning correctly. The flows would be functioning correctly if the alley was fixed.
All right, I mean, I'll tell the engineer that.
That's my opinion. That's it.
And that's my opinion. If we let them, to me, it's done haphazard. It's not done the way it was drawn up.
I know
Plain
that's
and simple.
I know that Scott is very concerned about the conversations like that. I mean, he's the one that was, made the recommendation in the field and did that work. I know that he does a lot of work where, he does a lot of on-site type stuff. So I mean, he's concerned about the conversations, but.
But it's more than
Such a
just that,
negative
because Coleman signed up.
Right.
Coleman approved the change.
Well, just like on the tennis courts or anything else, I mean, to me, when the city pays a little bit extra to have engineering on site, on the job, that should be his responsibility. And I mean, I don't think the city should, have to accept it. Not when we're paying these people to do the job right.
But and that's why I took it to the DDA, because DDA paid the bill, and I thought they were the first ones, since they actually paid the bill, what their thought was. And I think their first thought was, let's get the problem fixed. And that's why we want to focus on that first. But, I mean, we have a meeting on Wednesday. We can bring it back up to them on Wednesday.
Well, I agree with you on both sides, Ray. I agree. Let's get the problem fixed. There, no problem there. But I also agree that they should reconsider and look at it and say, is the job done the way it was supposed to be, or the way it was engineered to be? And let it fall from there.
Jeremy, I got one more. The Thirsty Whale Dance this weekend, we had approved and extended
Yeah.
ordinance for that? No
I didn't hear any
complaints?
complaints at all. Now, that's saying it. I heard them all, you know, but I didn't hear, like, Jim was in a couple times today, he said it went fine, so.
I didn't even hear it, so it was,
Well, I heard it and it was wonderful.
must've been the wind blowing that way, huh?
Yep.
Anything else, George?
No.
I got nothing this evening. Joe?
No, I have no further comments.
Mary?
No, no.
Tricia? Larry? Anything like that? Ray? Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Support?
Motion made by Chris, supported by George. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr.